At this point, there's no point in reviewing the movie, as I'm sure you have heard about how bad it turned out and how it was not at all faithful to the source material. However, I have to say, former NFL player / WWE superstar / all-around nerd Brennan Williams inspired me. Upon seeing him text basically word for word the same stuff I was thinking about how the movie was not all bad and how with some tweaking may have been somewhat salvageable as some sort of sequel or in-universe side story, I knew what I had to do. That's right, it's been a long time, but I'm gonna do one of my what ifs, where I discuss what if a piece of media had gone a different way. So the way I see it, the movie should have started something like this. It's been 10 years since the showdown between Light Yagami and L, and the supernatural killings of Kira have begun to fade in people's minds. Sure, what was witnessed was something incredible, but life moves on. Bored once again, Ryuk decides that he will drop the notebook below once more and see what kind of entertainment humans can provide him this time. However, he wants to drop it somewhere else. Somewhere he's heard a concept like justice is interpreted a little differently from Japan. Cue the intro from the Netflix Death Note movie that shows the Seattle skyline and Space Needle, then the school and students, and finally, we see our protagonist and his love interest. Now, being that this is its own thing and not an adaptation, names will be different. So, instead of Light Turner and Nia Sutton, I give you Joey Turner and Nina Sutton. Still might not be the best of names, but at least they sound more original and like they match the characters better. And I think it's important for it to be shown that number one, Joey and Nina are already dating, and number two, that both of them are outsiders, with Nina even showing that she is a believer in Kira. Keep those things in mind. I plan to have them develop throughout the story. Now, just like in the actual movie, I guess we can have the Death Note fall and the protagonist pick it up. Likewise, the whole confrontation with the bully can go about the same. However, I think the fact that our two characters are dating would show an interesting dynamic in how they handle the situation, as we begin to see how Joey is pretty spineless, while Nina is quite aggressive. From there, I would follow the course of the movie in terms of having Joey meet Ryuk and freak out the same way. Kill the bully, argue with his dad, and murder the man who killed his mom. Even the way he tries to prove his newfound power to Nina would be about the same, with the difference being that a guy spilling the beans to his girlfriend makes way more sense than how in the movie he tells some random girl he likes. Not only that, but her reaction to his power and how she proceeds to seem super turned on by all the murder they commit makes more sense, at least to me, if we establish that she is a fan of the Kira incident and has a fascination with death. It would explain the name better too, since of course a Kira fanatic would want to pay homage. As for our figure of justice leading the manhunt against Kira, I had some trouble in deciding how to make this work. I thought about making it so that he was an eccentric detective from Seattle PD, but in the interest of working with what we got and not having to change too much, I decided that the character known as L in the movie should instead be a character from the manga known as Z. You see, not much is mentioned about X, Y, and Z, other than like L, they are fellow geniuses trained to be detectives, so I thought I'd use that to my advantage. Have Z be a grown-up detective assigned to the USA who helps solve cases whenever he is needed. Being that he came from the same place as L, this would explain his eccentric behavior. As for why he acts so L-like, he just wants to emulate the late world's greatest detective. And so, the battle of wits begins, with Z doing his best to track down and stop this second coming of Kira, while Joey and Nina bust their tails to dispose of anyone who tries to get in their way. As we progress, we can show how although Joey enjoys power and not having to feel like a wimp, he does ultimately wonder if they are taking things too far, while Nina gets more and more caught up in her lust for killing and being seen as a god. As for Z, all the emotions we see in the movie would be explained by him knowing that he does not at all compare to L, and that the case may be too much for him. A smarter man than me would have to explain how to make it work, but keep the focus on the idea of the lesser of two evils, as well as Z and Nina's obsessions with filling the shoes of L and Light respectively, and we might just have some thought-provoking things to say. I honestly like the ending with the love interest going crazy, and our main character finally showing some of that Light Yagami tactical thinking we know and love, so I would keep that in there. Plus, with the added context of how he, a spineless wimp, finally snapped from all her mistreatment towards him and orchestrated a whole elaborate plot to kill her and spare himself, that makes his victory, number one, feel that much more deserved, but number two, that much darker when we realize how manipulative and cutthroat his final interactions with her was, in which he tricks her into taking the Death Note. As Joey lies in his hospital bed, going over his risky plan, and a beyond broken Z stands alone in Nina's room trying to decide whether or not to write Joey Turner's name down, we end with Ryuk laughing maniacally, just as the movie did.
You humans are so interesting.
So there you have it, guys. In a nutshell, how I would fix the Death Note movie so it isn't a total trash fire. Could it still be bad? Probably. However, I hope you at least see what I mean when I say that with some reworking such as name changes, interactions, character motivations, and themes, at least it feels like you're trying to do something new and not some horrible Americanization adaptation. If it fails for being ambitious. And if people hate it that much, then whatever. It's non-canon and never mentioned again. Still, I took the time out to try and do something cool, so hopefully some of you liked it at least. But hey, these were all just my random ideas. And remember, don't take anything I say too seriously. After all, I'm just a wannabe reviewer. Thanks for watching.